Legends, welcome to the Peak Performance Podcast, episode 2, and our first external guest, Jarrod Walsh. Great man, thank you for coming on board.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Jamie. It's wonderful to be here. I'm looking around the room and this is like world class. This is a state-of-the-art facility. You've got cameras everywhere. You've got soundproofing. This is a legitimate studio.
I'll be honest with you, I did absolutely nothing. I think maybe went and did one coffee run.
Yeah.
But aside from that, it was Kim Williams who's jumped on board. He's been unbelievable for us. It's been Blake Ashby. Blake Hansen pretended to help out.
Yeah.
And Brad Drake. So the guys did an amazing job. We're very grateful. But look, I know that you're one of our most recognisable faces around the facility. You're also on Brekkie Radio. What we're going to ask today, Walshy, is that we don't have the breakfast radio version of Walshy. We're going to have the real thing, mate. Can we? Now everybody has, I guess, their different personas. We see the same with another man within our community we love very much, Andrew Jarman, who's a bit of a larrikin, obviously in the facility, but even more exacerbated on radio. Are we going to see the true man today?
Yeah, absolutely. You'll find that I'd like to intertwine my kind of personalities, but I'm learning to like discover that I'm an introverted extrovert. So I've got a public job. I don't really think I've got much of a profile or anything. I'm pretty low key with that stuff, but I like to kind of keep to myself apart from that because it's really important to separate those kind of things. And it's also quite exhausting when you've got a public job, and you guys have public jobs as well. You know, you have to be on for people when you've got clients and you're responsible for making experiences and moments for people.
Sean has coined that term. If you'd like to share what that is, he's his little work persona. He's coined a term.
Well, I did hear it elsewhere. I'll be honest with you. Look, I'd like to say, but I call it entertainment. So when I'm on the gym floor, Jamie often says that we should sort of get a stage installed.
Yeah.
Because I dance and sing a lot. But no, look, obviously in a much different essence, I do feel like I give a lot on the gym floor, and often when I get home, I just want to lay down and not talk. But then, then I guess that we talk about this being a podcast that people can relate to. You then have to sort of go and perform for the kids, essentially, in essence, because they want to obviously get as much as they can out of you, and you want to be there to give them lots of love and create memories with them too. But certainly, you've given as much as you can on the gym floor too. So I will just quickly preempt and say, if we do sound a little bit different today, if we're talking about, reality check, the kids have circled through a bit of a cold through the house, but we're on the back end of it. But if you hear any coughing and spluttering, and that means our editor hasn't done a good enough job. But talk to me, Walshy, or tell us about how you went from a man who was creating some very interesting videos at St. Michael's. And if you're not sure which videos I'm talking about,
that's one of many, by the way. That's one of many.
Get on Walshy's socials and check it out. I think I've rewatched it about 15 times.
Yeah.
I think you may have created the term influencer, I think. Like back in the day, that was before it was actually popular and everybody wanted to do it. To now being the face of almost every major sporting organisation, certainly within South Australia, but also, Cricket Australia and so on and so forth. So try to summarise it because we've got 30 minutes. We're going to be nice and snappy.
To summarise it, I've always been like a creative person. Like that's my kind of outlet, whether it's through music. Like my perfect job used to be I wanted to create music videos and not star in them, but create them and be behind the scenes. So when I listen to music, I can see how the video would play out. And now when I listen to music, because I work in fan engagement, when I listen to songs, when I run or train, I can hear it as a hype song for Adelaide United or for the Socceroos, or how it would work with a video. So I've always been really visual. So creating things, whether it's with video, which I did as a kid, right? Like we used to have a video camera that you would plug into your VCR. I know you guys probably don't know what VCR is now, right?
Matilda, our daughter, asked me what a CD was the other day.
Exactly.
And I almost fell over.
So I did all of that stuff, and then I moved to South Australia from Tasmania when I was 15, and then went to high school here. And I thought I needed to study media because my dad was in the media, and I was working at the Athlete's Foot just down the road at Westlakes. And then an opportunity came up to be one of the street team drivers for a radio station that was going to start called Nova. And I said, yep, no worries. So I was handing out the icy cold cans of Coke. And then one day I was driving the station vehicle, which had a big antenna on the top of it. And I didn't realize it was up, and I drove out of the West Beach Surf Lifesaving Club, and I crashed into power lines. And I knew that because I saw the actual tower from the van, and the power lines go down with it. So literally,
Did you
fire
almost
brigade.
die?
I almost died. Yeah.
Jesus.
So fire brigade, ambulance, police came, and they said if you actually stepped out of the vehicle, because there were live wires on the ground, you would have been electrocuted and died. So no word of a lie. I'm not putting any emphasis or embellishing this. The station said, we can't have you driving the car. Turns out it cost the company $150,000 to fix, but there wasn't a kill switch on the antenna. So I could have sued them because it was a safety problem. So they said, do you want to just have a go talking on the radio? I'm like, all right. And that's literally how I got my start in radio. And then that kind of molded into, I had a guest MC / DJ night at the Grand at Glenelg one night, and I loved speaking into the microphone. And with my love of sport, it kind of is just molded together. So from crashing a car to I host every sports team in South Australia apart from the Crows, and nationally for Cricket Australia, Basketball Australia, Football Australia, Netball Australia. So
Do you want us to talk to Bojo about the Crowies at all, or?
it was quite funny, like about 10 years ago, I think they were going through a bit of a transition of hosts, and they did ask me, and just if I was interested, and I said, no, it's not fair, because I've got a lot of friends who play for the Crows, which is great, but it's just not the right thing to do. I don't support the Crows. I'm not passionate about them. That doesn't mean I don't want South Australia to do well, but, I have to be passionate and authentic in everything that I do. So, yeah.
I think that's a good place to probably launch from there about how we first met as well, how Walshy sort of came into our circle and into our lives. And I think that authenticity is something that, Sean, you can probably explain the story. But for me, I think that's something that's always really rung true. So,
Yeah, look, I don't know if this is going to get you in trouble or not, but I think, knew one of the people who were working maybe on the street team, I think it was
Yeah.
at that time, when we were, I guess, getting ready to launch our first facility. The place was literally filled with dust. There was floorboards being put down and you name it, lots of construction going on, certainly not from myself again, because I've got no handy skills. Anyway, we reached out to this contact that we had and said, hey, we're going to try to launch on this date. I think it might have been the 6th of January. Is there any chance maybe we can get some hype around it? What can you do for us? Can you help us out to try to build some sort of open day or something along those lines? She gave us the options. Obviously, I think maybe gently connected us to you or said that she could get us in contact with you. And then I remember receiving maybe a private message from you on the side and saying, hey, mate, look, I understand that there's this going on and these options, but I just love the West and I'm not too far away. Can we just catch up and have a chat? So caught up. I showed you around this square box of nothing. And I guess I sold you a dream of what it was going to turn into. Remember, we ran a few sessions in a half-empty, 400 square meter facility together, and just fell in love from there. To be honest with you, your support for us since that time has been unwavering. I know that there's been so many different organisations, and I don't want to get too sentimental and lovey with you so early on in the episode as well. But I know there's been a lot of not let's say rivals or competitors, other fitness brands that have reached out to you. And the loyalty you've shown us has just been unbelievable. So we can't thank you enough for that, mate. And it's played a massive role in our growth and people understanding who we are. There's been so many people who have come across in our times that I saw you on Walshy socials. I'll be honest with you, you got some brownie points for us with our daughter's teacher at school.
she's a big soccer
She's
fan.
a big soccer fan, and she loved Walsh. And for one of our daughter's projects, we've got a picture of you and Matilda. She nailed it. So we will make sure that we give you credit where credit is due. But yeah, honestly, your authenticity has been unbelievable, mate. We're just so grateful to have you as a part of the community. And I honestly don't think that we'd be where we are today if it wasn't for somebody like you. And not only just for what you've done on socials, but you bring a lot of your friends through, a lot of athletes who are sort of in town and those sorts of things as well. So we really appreciate it. I guess what's it been like, just quickly, to sort of see the transformation from that dusty old warehouse to now?
It's been really good, and I'm equally as grateful to you guys because I need authenticity in my life because in my work life, which takes a lot of my time, Like I'm surrounded by a lot of fake, and that is if I'm in the middle of a stadium and people are either saying nice things or shit things about me, it's one or the other. And you have a look at my DMs on social media, it's usually the shit stuff. But there's not much authenticity. So when I talk about authenticity, I need authentic relationships. So I remember the conversations that we had leading up to me coming in, and I said, I'm going to get Sean the nicest coffee. And there was a petrol station around the corner. It was the only one I could get. And it was like,
He's not fussy. Don't worry about that. I've
Nah,
seen
but
some
it
of the
was
stuff
serious.
he's eaten from his car. Don't worry about it.
It was
Can you
like
remember my
coffee.
order? Can you remember what my order was?
was it a double shot espresso?
Double shot espresso.
Oh,
Yeah,
well
yeah,
done.
yeah.
Got it made.
Yes,
6
but it
years
was
later.
literally like I went out the back of the servo, put some water in and put dirt in there. But I
He
had a
would've loved
look,
it.
and the energy that you had, and it's funny because you say the same thing every time I see you, and I know that you mean it, and it's, can we do anything more for you? That's actually quite rare for me and my experience in the fitness industry, because I started going to the gym late, and it's a really big regret of mine. One of my biggest regrets in life is not taking fitness more seriously earlier on in life. And I went to a few chain places that some are still around, some aren't around. And ultimately, the people that were running the place were telling me what they're going to do for me. They weren't asking me what I wanted from them. And there's a big difference between that, because I'm very much in my job as trying to understand the audience as much as possible, because every day I'm at a venue or a sports team, my objective is to make sure people feel connected. So if you're not making me feel connected, then I'm not interested. And I try to talk to personal trainers about this sometimes, like when I work on communication and stuff. And I'm like, you have really hard jobs, but ultimately, if you're running a class at 5 o'clock in the morning, there are people there that A, don't want to be there, but they have to be there because it's the only time they can do it. B, it's their escape from the real world. It's their only way to get better and motivated, but they are relying on you to do it for them. And that's a privilege and an opportunity. And you've always treated me like that and my family like that. But it's not just you guys. It's the community and the environment. And I love it. And I meet people so regularly within here that I can call my friends, or the small, what might seem like the smallest thing that happens here. The fact you have a basketball ring here, and you had it at the old Peak as well. I love that because I love basketball. I'm shit at it, but I love it. But having a shoot around and then getting random people coming in, and let's just having a shoot around with people that I don't know. I don't know their names. I don't know their personal life, but if I see them publicly, we just nod. I love that because that's community and that's togetherness. I've never experienced at here or the old place, I've never experienced at Peak someone that thinks or acts like they are better than anyone else. And that's me to a T. Because as soon as that happens, they're either not here anymore or they're just not here in the first place, which is great. And it speaks volumes of the community that you guys have created.
I appreciate that, mate. And it does make my heart full. I do love it when you've come in for a workout and I might come upstairs or have a meeting and then I come back 45 minutes later and I'm like, are they still here? Like, still here with Ashby and Hanson, like shooting around and talking smack. So, no, I do really appreciate that. That just quickly gets me, I guess, like with the Western community.
Yeah.
So I know on a very small scale we feel this, and don't worry, I'm very grateful for the fact of, but can you do any shopping at Westlake Shopping Centre? Because if we try to do our food shopping on a Sunday afternoon, it takes at least 3 hours because we stop and chat.
Yeah,
So, which is amazing. Don't get me wrong, I love it. But also,
It's hard
we
at
might need to
times,
find a
yeah.
new shopping centre soon.
Yeah, I sometimes, you know who I notice it from now, because I notice if some people give me eyes and I can see their eyes, but you know who loves it? My eldest daughter, Rain. She's like, Daddy, that guy just noticed you. Daddy, look at that. Daddy, look at that. She thinks I'm a celebrity. And I'm like, I'm not. Just calm down. And she's like, no, guess what I did at school today? I put your name on YouTube in front of everyone. I'm like, don't do that because other stuff's going to come up. You don't need to do that. But but that's the other thing I love about the community. Like, you know what? A couple of weeks ago, I was at 10th birthday of Pirate Life. And it was one of the greatest nights I've had because it was happy, it was peaceful, there were no idiots, and I felt comfortable with people coming up just wanting a chat. And I always want that, but I have two non-negotiables, right? If someone comes and asks me for a photo at work, especially if they're kids, I ask what their name is and I have a conversation with them. I don't just go, yeah, no problem. And then if someone asks me about work, I ask what they do, because ultimately the only difference between me and other people is my job's public. So we're all doing stuff, right? But you probably see more of mine. But again, that public job with all the different hats that I wear, literally, as soon as I go home, I'm not that person anymore. Like there's elements of me doing that, but I go home and I'm dad.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to steer it back a little bit to what I think the sort of the theme for our podcast is. So
Yeah.
you talked about before that you were a bit frustrated yourself that you started the gym or exercise. Like along that journey, sort of in this career pathway, where was it that was maybe a turning point for you, or what was your relationship with exercise when you were at school or?
Yeah, I've always played sport. Like I've played field hockey and I've been good at running, but like I'm pretty open. Like I think I've got a really unhealthy relationship with my body. Like I think I have real severe body issues, and that is I don't educate myself enough. I feel really insecure about the way that I look. I've always struggled to eat, as in to eat to put on weight, and I haven't trusted the people around me enough to believe in what they're saying, which is I reckon it's a really egotistical thing, or it's just, I don't know. I think the insecurity takes control of that, because if I'm training and I'm not eating enough, it's not going to work. I'll go and see Belle and talk to a nutritionist. But if I'm not eating enough and I'm listening, but then I'm like, oh, the hard thing for me is professionally, I am surrounded by people at their absolute fittest every day. What I don't realize at that point is that these people are in their mid-20s. Some of them are 16 to 25, but I look at them and I'm like, why don't I look like you? I feel so shit about myself. So if I'm at an Adelaide United game and there's one coming up, I will want to go for a run after that game. That game will finish at 9 o'clock on a Friday night. I'll go, "Oh, I've got to look like that. I've got to go for that run. So I think there's an unhealthy balance, because fitness for me is great for my mental health. I need to do it, and I get to do it. Like I'm here today to do a PT session, but yesterday I worked for 16 hours straight. So from 4:30 a.m. until 10:30 p.m., I was literally working with no break in between. But I'm here because I know that I'll feel better afterwards. But then there's that element of I'm constantly not feeling adequate because I'm seeing people at their absolute fittest all the time. And I don't probably love myself enough to step back and go, it's okay. I'm 41. I'm a father. I'm working. I'm doing what I can. I look at what I'm not as opposed to what I am. So I'm not ashamed to say it, but that's my reality. Yeah.
Did you feel that before working in the job that you work in, or is
Uh,
it later in life?
I felt like going to the gym was a routine. I felt like I probably started exercising, like doing weights and stuff, in my early to mid 20s. And that was being around people that were doing it. But again, it's the mistake that I made is that I didn't let people in and trust them as I should have. I can do it myself. Whether it's okay, I've just seen someone do a bench press or a bicep curl. I know how to do that. Great. Huh, I'm a PT now. Awesome. Or, yeah, no, that's cool. I had a protein shake today. I've got heaps of good muscles now. Or I can do 5 sit-ups. I'm going to get a six pack. Like, this is mentally how I'm going.
Yeah.
Or I've got one PT session. I can just watch what they do, and then I'm going to do it now. I don't have to pay someone. So I didn't let the right people in to help train me and guide me enough. And that's where I need, like, you're essentially mentors in what you do. So I need mentors and coaches around me, whether it's what you do or then coming to yoga with my wife. Like, that stuff is actually trusting the professionals, because in my job, if someone needs a host for an event, they ask me to do it because they trust me to do it, because that's my expertise. It's trusting you guys. You guys are my MCs essentially. So yeah, it's a really challenging thing, because on the flip side, I'll put so much pressure on myself that when I'm exhausted, I'll still try and push myself to run, and I don't listen to my body enough. I'm getting better at it, but I'm a work in progress in fitness.
Oh, it's super challenging. And I think we talked about this last episode about my journey post having kids, and when you're focusing so much on those physical things. I want to look a certain way, or I want to look like that person, that you're always chasing something that you're not them. So that's never going to be realistic, because I'm not the person that I'm trying to compare myself to. So, that's really great to hear what you're talking about. I picked up on how I feel, how it makes me feel, whether it's from a mental health perspective or whether it's physically. And we talked about this last episode, that when I was coming back from having kids, it was about, okay, am I actually strong enough to chase my kids? Am I, is this form of exercise making me feel good, or is it making me feel worse? And that is actually a really hard intuitive skill to have. So you're definitely not alone. And I don't think even, we're there. My journey with yoga, and you mentioned yoga, I think definitely helps that introspection to yourself. And, okay, is this movement actually making me feel better than I felt before I started it? And I think that's a really cool thing to pick up on what you're saying.
Yeah, and you know what men don't talk about enough? I had this conversation with a former Sandford player the other night who works in high performance now. He was at Saka for cricket and netball now. He's post-playing, and I said, men don't talk enough about body issues, because you know what happens post-career? If you talk elite athletes at their absolute peak, someone has a year off and they put on weight. Now, the term blowout is used. Look at you, you've blown out. Look at you, you've put on weight, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, we've only seen them at their absolute fittest with minimal body fat, nutritionists, dietitians, they are trained. Their job is to train, right? Now they look like a normal person. But because they don't look like the way that we saw them so consistently, we say they've blown out and they look fat. So for them, I can't imagine what it would be like to be an elite athlete who is post-professional career. And I've got friends like that have that constant, I don't look like this anymore. They start thinking about their self-worth. So men actually, I genuinely feel, have body issues that we don't talk enough about, because it's not like women, especially young women in netball and other sports. There are so many body issues when it comes to eating disorders. Um, we've seen women who have been scared out of playing professional netball because they've wanted to have a baby. Imagine being actually told by your employer, do not have a baby or you won't have a job. What the fuck? So I think we don't talk about body issues enough, and that it's not exclusive to any age or gender. Everyone can go through it.
Yeah. Do you, I guess, have any advice for anybody, as somebody who has and continues to go through it, how you've dealt with it, and if there's been anything that's been helpful on the journey? I know you've said obviously surrounding yourself with those
Yeah.
who, and listening and opening up to those who have the expertise. Is there anything else, any other little tips and tricks? Have you done, journaling, meditation, anything along those lines that have helped you with,
Yeah.
with I guess, your
I've
feelings?
listened more,
Yeah.
and that is different layers of listening. So it's funny. You guys don't know who Mr. Beast is? Do your kids watch Mr. Beast yet?
I know. Look, I've never watched his
All
videos,
right. So
but
when the kids get old, I watch Mr. Beast. Like I think he's like the most subscribed person to on YouTube at the moment, right? So like 300 million views. And I listened to a podcast he did, and he said the best advice I can give anyone is surround yourself with mentors, because they are a cheat code. So if I wanted to be the best basketballer in the world and I went downstairs and started shooting hoops by myself, great. That might take me 10 years to get any good. But you know what? If there was an NBL player down there, so I see Isaac Humphries from the 36ers down here, and I said, mate, can you train me every day for the next 10 years? It will take me half the time to get as good as if I was doing it by myself. So mentors are like a cheat code, Mr. B said. So trust the people that know what they're talking about and listen to them. I'm listening to my body more. So when I run, there are days when I don't run to a target or a time. I run for feel. And then actually doing that actually makes my body feel better, and I don't feel disappointed if I don't achieve a goal, because I enjoy the process. And listening to music when I run, I escape. So I will call my wife most times after I run, and I download all the thoughts of the day, because in that 30-minute window, I've thought about absolutely everything, because it escapes me from the world. So it is about listening at that point, and like not being afraid to ask for help, but be resting, because what I'm finding now is I'm having less time to rest. So the more times I can do it, the better I'll be for everyone else.
Music to my ears. Rest, yoga, recovery. This is great.
Yeah.
So if only my husband would listen to some of that.
I will eventually
Okay.
when things settle down a little bit. I do actually, and this is not to blow up my LinkedIn profile, but go check it out if you want to.
Yeah. How do we do that?
Head to Sean Baker on LinkedIn.
Okay, great.
I did a post the other day because I am passionate about this, about the way we communicate with one another.
Yeah.
And one of the things that's a massive irk of mine, and I hear it regularly, and I don't think that people do it out of bad will, but let's say, for example, and I'm just talking theoretically because this doesn't happen with you, but we don't see Walshy for a month, which a lot of people, they have undulations of, high motivation or low motivation or things happening in life, whatever it might be. They see you a month later, go, oh, who's this stranger when you walk back in the gym?
Yeah.
Where have you been? Are you still a member here? They do it semi out of joking,
Yeah.
but also with some semi-seriousness in there as well, without any real true understanding as to what's happened. And I just see every time that person who's being aimed at goes into their shell. I've never seen a situation where the person thoroughly enjoys
Yeah.
the joke, So I guess what we try to do is encourage our staff, and I've been very hot on it, to try to rethink that communication. Like, Walshy, great to see you again. Sorry our schedules haven't lined up recently. What's been going on? Or
Yeah.
those things that are a bit more supportive. For somebody who's been through the journey that you've been through, I know obviously you mentioned before, you've been grateful for the way I've asked if there's ways we can help you. Is there any other things or ways we can communicate to each other that may help somebody who's in your situation? Is there anything specifically
Yeah. I think
outside of that somebody said that's helped you?
I what I've learned through my work is understanding the audience that you speak to is the key, and that is to every bit of detail. So that is you understanding everything that I need for you to get the best out of me, but you might understand also that the way that you train the person next to me is not going to be the way that you train me. So then I feel that you are not just ticking a box with a spreadsheet of information and going, here's my training style, this is going to work for you. Because if you do that to the same, like I have this mantra that I follow, and I teach people this in the workshops that I do. So we traditionally have lived by the statement of treat people how you want to be treated, which I think is flawed, because how I want to be treated might not relate to everybody else. Because you think about footy coaches back in the 1980s, they were abusing the hell out of their players. If that happened now, is everyone motivated? Absolutely not. So I say treat people how they want to be treated, and understanding them and saying, how can I do this for you? The leader goes, how can I do this better? What works? What isn't working? Give me feedback. There is nothing better than an expert saying, give me feedback to be better. Because the moment they have all the answers is the moment they fail. So I think being curious is so important. And that's as a parent, as a partner, as someone in my role. The first thing I do whenever I'm presenting, I always ask, tell me about the audience, who's going to be there? What do I need to learn about them? What do I need to know about them? And ultimately, everybody needs to feel like they matter, because my journey that, as I've shared here, whether it's body issues, I need to go for a run, but I need education. I need to know why I'm doing this training and what it's doing for me, is different to someone who actually has played professional sport. They know what they're doing. They're fine. Like it's all about ensuring the audience feels like you give a shit and you are connected to them.
That's such great insight, and I think we can draw parallels there from like the business side of things, as you're saying. I think it's easy to look at people in the media or people who are leaders or own businesses, and that a leadership is all about what they're doing, and I think having that understanding that communication is key, and it's actually more about listening. It's less about talking, and it's more about listening.
Ben Crow does amazing work in the mindfulness space. And I watched this video, and it's one of the most powerful videos. I can send you the link to it. He said, public speaking and leadership, the biggest problem that we face in the world is we think it's about us. The moment we start thinking it is about everybody else, we are doing this for you today. How can I make your life better? How can I create a moment for you? It removes nerves, anxiety, imposter syndrome, and we're just basically going, today I'm doing this for you. because you get joy out of doing it for other people. So you can see the joy in someone when they've achieved their goals, or they can do poses in yoga and they've got breathing exercise and they go, wow, I've helped facilitate that. And Chris Martin said it at the Coldplay concert we went to last year, and I loved it. He said, we used to think this concert was about us. We were all about ego. We've since realized that us as a band, we are facilitating a gathering of like-minded people who want to escape from the world. We are the facilitators. We are providing the space for you to do it. You go and be free. And it's a really nice way of thinking about it.
Amazing. Last thing I just wanted to touch on, because I know we're getting very close to our time cap.
You're very specific on the time.
I'm very
I thought this was a
specific.
podcast, mate.
I'll tell you what,
Calm down.
when I'm scrolling through podcasts, if it's
Yeah.
over 50 minutes, it's out.
Maybe that's just your attention span.
Never heard a
fair.
truer statement in my
That's
life.
Actually, it's not about me. It's about everybody else. You obviously do a lot of travel with your work. We have lots of people that travel for their work in our community, whether that be through FIFO or whatever it may be. I know Bigsy is out in India and China and Thailand every second weekend. How have you still been able to squeeze in your training around all those commitments, if you do?
Yeah, so if I go to Melbourne, normally I stay at a hotel near the MCG. I get off the plane, I go to the hotel, I drop my bags and I go for a run around the Botanical Garden, so the Tan, every time I'm there. For me, that's like, I like to feel like I've done something and I've achieved something. And I know it's science for me that if I exercise, I feel better. Like that's a fact, because I know that if I don't exercise, I feel shit. So I'll say to my wife, I need 30 minutes. I need to go for a run, either to clear my head or I have to do it today. So yeah, it's a non-negotiable for me. And it's funny because I'm standing like at Perth Stadium about to watch the first ball of the Border Gavaskar Test Series. And I'm like, I wonder if I could do a couple of laps of the oval before I do this. And that's not, I don't have a fitness goal. Like I love, and I guess my love is being the oldest and fittest I've ever been. I always want to challenge myself, continually do that. So yeah, I want to look good cosmetically, as we all do. We'd be lying if we say we didn't, but I want to feel good and set really good, healthy examples. But yeah, for me, I've had this argument with many people before, like, make time. You know what? Get up earlier. Like, don't press the snooze on your alarm. Actually, just make time. If you want something, you will make time for it. Otherwise, if you say, I don't have time to do this, you're lying. You are actually lying. So if you want it, do it. Find a way to do it. Otherwise, it just becomes an excuse.
Yeah. And that's what I've always admired about you, is the way you juggle fatherhood, 4 different jobs. You're now running your own workshops, travel, and again, to see the way you've still prioritise training through all that has been inspiring, mate. So, Walshy, thank you so much. Great man.
Thank you.
I can't reiterate how much we are grateful for you and having you as a part of our community. I consider you more of a friend now than anything else. Thank you for being so candid with us today. To be honest with you, I didn't realise sort of where we were going to go or how deep we would go.
I have one story I can tell you.
Oh,
that you don't, I'm
Please,
sorry
please
about
go.
the time. I know
No,
we're
please, that's right.
30
I'm
minutes
sure.
and 4 seconds.
33 minutes is fine.
There's something I haven't told you. I've had some really good moments at peak, but I've had one of the most powerful moments of my life at peak where I was crying. And no one saw this, not even on the cameras. So I had a pretty public job redundancy from Nova, and I was at peak training the next day by myself, listening to a song from Linkin Park called Waiting for the End. And it was like speaking to me. It was really funny because a few months before I had an argument with Graham Corns because I was listening to 5AA, the old talkback station, and they were bagging out AFLW. So I put something on my social media saying, all these old dinosaurs talking about women's sport. How about you just let them do it and stop telling us what to do? He called me and he abused the fuck out of me. Like, it was crazy. Anyway, so I get made redundant and I'm doing a workout listening to that song. My phone goes, bzz, Graham Corns. And I'm like, is he going to abuse me again? He wrote the loveliest message saying, I know I had a go at you a few months ago, but you are a talent. I'm really sorry to hear you've lost your job. I felt so safe in the environment that I was at peak. I started crying while listening to the song and looking at my phone. I'm like, there is no other place that I would be right now than crying through a really challenging time because I feel safe here. And that is like what you all provide. There is a safety here where everyone feels connected, like they belong, and no one is better than anybody else. And that's the best because you see all people, all different shapes and sizes, fitness goals, young, old, you've got young staff working for you, and I love talking to them about, like, Blake Hansen, right? I don't know him very well, but I love talking to him about his footy, and he's such a good kid that just wants to achieve his goals, and I'm like, I wish I knew what you did when I was your age. Like, we're creating this community continually, and it's you guys that have created it. So thank you.
Couldn't do it without you, mate. Thank you so much. When's your next Speak Good workshop?
Well, I finished one last night. I have another one coming up probably mid-year, and then I'm working with businesses, and it's quite a crazy life at the moment.
We're
but that's
very
okay.
excited. We've got one booked in for our
Yes, you
staff
do.
as well, which
You
we're
do.
very excited about.
Yeah.
We will also chuck up a link, so when you get the opportunity to flick us a link for people to buy tickets to your next one as well, let us
No
know.
worries.
But, mate, you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
thanks, everybody, for listening to our second episode and first external guest.
Yeah, real guest, as Sean put it, if you listen
I
to the
like
last
the first
episode.
one. This one went a bit long,
No,
I reckon.
I got called not a real guest.
Well,
yeah, that's
the
offensive.
first one.
Yeah, we'll edit that out. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So there you have it, a really powerful discussion with our man, Jarrod Walsh. For me, I really took away the fact that body image issues do not discriminate. And to assist with, I guess, working your way through that journey, let in experts and listen to the advice they have to try to assist you in helping you work your way through those things. Then finally, like Walshy said, everybody has the time. It's about what you decide to do with it.